I was I was almost 15 years old when I went to a birthday party at Scandia. Anybody here been to birthday parties at Scandia? And part of this birthday party was that we got tokens to play in the arcade. And there was this game called Cruisin' USA, all right? And Cruisin' USA was one of these games where you actually got to sit down in the game, right? And so it felt like a car. It felt like you were actually driving, had a gas pedal and a brake pedal, and you sat there, and I absolutely killed it at this game. It was one of those games where as long as you make the time trial, you got to keep playing. There was a line of people waiting because I was so good at this game, right? And so I leave this game, or I leave the party, and I go home, and I go to my dad in absolute seriousness, and I go, Dad, I'm ready to drive. My dad's like, you're not ready to drive. I'm like, Dad, you should have seen me play this game. And that game is exactly like driving. And because my dad loves me, he didn't let me talk him into letting me drive the car. And so I was like, but I knew in my heart, I wasn't trying to be an idiot. I wasn't trying to, I'm just looking to hurt people and destroy stuff. I knew that I was ready to drive this car, right? And I wanted to, anyway. I was 15, so it wasn't too long after that. I was 15 and I was in a choir at school. And we went and did a concert at a church. And behind this church was this big dirt field. And we all met at the church. Well, I got dropped off at the church. But older kids in the choir, they were able to drive themselves there. And I had a friend, Eric. Eric was a rich kid. And so Eric had a really cool 4x4 truck. And I saw that dirt field, and I'm like, I'm ready. And so I go, Eric, let me drive your truck, man. Now, Eric was kind of dumb. And so he takes his keys. He's like, there. And he throws me his keys. He walks inside. I'm standing out there, and I begin to shake. Like, my dreams are coming true. I go, and I get in this truck, and I'm just like, and it was one of those trucks when you start it, it just goes, whoa. Peed a little bit. And I pull out, and I drive through the parking lot, and I didn't hit a single thing. Because, man, I've played Cruisin' USA. I was ready for this. I was made for this. And I pull out onto this dirt field, and it was go time. And I just went, bah! Just hammer down. Now, one of the first things that they teach you when you learn to drive is don't drive two-footed. Don't drive with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, because your brain can't do it both. And so don't drive two-footed. Now, this might be news to some of you, but don't drive two-footed. Drive one foot on the gas, one foot on the, and then you use that same foot for the brake. And so, but I didn't know that because I hadn't learned to drive. I had played Cruisin' USA, and this is the way you played Cruisin' USA, and I was ready. So I get out there, and I'd go, BAM! Well, it was a little bit of horsepower, and so my left foot, which I think was the foot attached to my brain, my right foot was just, right? And my left foot was, and so my left foot goes, you probably shouldn't go so fast. So I had my left foot on the brake lightly, and my right foot on the gas, and you should turn. I began to drive in circles around this dirt field, faster and faster and faster. And as I picked up speed, I realized I should turn the wheel some more. Pretty soon, I'm doing donuts around this field. At one point, I don't think I was traveling anywhere. I think I was sitting in one spot and just spinning. And at first it was like, this is the greatest thing in the world. And then it got scary as I think one side of the truck began to lift off the ground. At some point, my brain reattached to my right foot, and I lifted my right foot off. Where was my left foot? On the brake. I came to a sudden stop. And it was at this point I realized, in all my excitement to drive, I had not done what? Put on my seatbelt or used my turn signal. And I come to a stop and I slammed up against the steering wheel. I'm like, oh, no, I turned the truck off. And I sat there for a minute and just sort of vibrated. I reach for the handle and I climb out of the truck and I just sort of walk across the field. I walk back inside and the choir's up there and I sat down and Eric's over here and he goes, dude, where's my truck? I had left his truck out in the field running because I just was out of my mind, right? And it was in that moment, well, those moments, that I realized real driving is a little different than cruising USA. Real driving's a little different than any video game, any simulator, anything. It's just different. But in my heart, I was sure I could handle it. In my heart, I was absolutely certain it was the same. I was absolutely confident that I was ready and that I could handle anything that driving was going to force me to encounter. And it was in that first one, I mean, praise God, that my frontal lobe, or lack of frontal lobe, did not allow me to drive out onto the street. Be like, I got this, right? But it was amazing to me how easily I was convinced that I was ready for this. That I was able to do whatever I needed to do, and I could handle whatever situation I was going to handle. And it was amazing how wrong I was. Anybody here ever learned a lesson the hard way? Right? We all have. But did it start with you entering into that going, I hope I learned this lesson the hard way. I hope I massively fail. I hope I fall so hard on my face it knocks my teeth through the back of my head, right? We enter into things going, I'm ready. Whether it's an 8-year-old who's ready to start the campfire. There's a story there later. Or the 16-year-old who goes, I'm ready to have a relationship. I'm ready to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? And we don't ever enter into these things going, yeah, I'm probably going to fail. This is probably going to hurt. Or the 18-year-old who just on their own goes like, I can figure out what college to go to. Or the 30-year-old who goes, you know what, I can make all the strategic professional decisions and moves and what job I should have and what, just all on my own, I can make this decision. Or the 40-year-old and the decisions that go into parenting and how to raise kids. And I can figure this out. I got this. All I know is I'm going to be a better parent than my parents were, right? And we just kind of go that direction and make those decisions. Okay? Whether, should Tim be allowed to choose his own retirement home? Just all those decisions that we want to do the best. We feel like we're ready. Don't worry, I made that joke with Tim in the room too. We feel like we're ready, and it's not that we're looking to be dumb or we're looking to make a bad decision or we're hoping to put ourselves in harm's way. But you guys, how easy it is for us to convince ourselves, I got this. I can do this on my own. And we end up in a place like that song says, Jesus, take the wheel. I can't do this on my own. You were never meant to be behind the wheel. I was never meant to be behind the wheel. There's a bumper sticker that you'll see around and says, Jesus is my co-pilot. If Jesus is your co-pilot, the wrong person's driving. But we want to be in control. We want Because we believe I can handle this, I can do this, I can make these decisions. And you guys, in high school, this is massively important that we wrap our heads around this. What's driving your life? Who is leading your life? Is it you and your best intentions? Is it your parents and what they're trying to lead you to? And what is it that you're willing to go, I need you to lead me? When so often the question that we ask is, can I drive? When I finally got my permit, man, every single time we had to go somewhere, I would ask my mom or dad, can I drive? Can I drive? I love to drive. Once I got my license, I would ask my friends, can I drive? You know, I dated a girl one time who had a Mustang. Can I drive? Now, as an adult, I love driving. I don't care whether it's your car or my car. If you want to pay for the gas, that'd be great. But whatever, I was like, can I drive? And we start to ask that. And we start to ask that even of God, of going, hey, so I'm going to go ahead and drive. I'm going to go ahead and make this decision all on my own. And as you get older, I just got done talking to junior hires. You know, these people are 11, 12, 13 years old. And I'm going, it starts then. What are you willing to let God do? How are you willing to let God lead your life then in how you obey your parents, the kind of friends you hang out with, the things that you're involved with? And as you guys are in high school and you begin to get more and more freedom, as you guys begin to have new opportunities open up to you, who's driving? Your emotions? Your hormones? How sophisticated you are? How intellectual you are? Whether it's the people around you and what they're doing, so you're like, I'll just follow them. And could there be a better way? Could there be a way that leads you to so much life that you would never get there on your own? Do you believe that? And I'm telling you, it's not just a high school thing. Through my life, even now, I have so much confidence, like I had that day when I jumped in that truck going, I can do this. And I want to be able to drive. I want to be able to handle these things. But it tends to be an issue of pride, of going, I got this. I can handle this. But Jesus taught something that's really tough, and this series is gonna stretch you. I hope it stretches you. I hope it makes you go, I'm gonna have to wrestle with that a little bit. Because we want so badly to drive. We want so badly to be in control. And here's what Jesus said. I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they'll produce even more. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I've given you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it's severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like a useless branch and withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, you may ask anything you want, and it will be granted. When you produce much fruit, you are my disciples, and this brings great glory to my Father. Now, Jesus was talking to people who understood farming. They understood grapevines. They understood how vegetation worked and all of those things. And what I did, and I'm disclaiming this, what I wrote is not the Word of God. But I tried to take this into, okay, as we're talking about driving, as we're talking about control and surrender, which is what Jesus was talking about. Okay, what could this sound like using this driving metaphor? What could this look like in your life when it comes to allowing God to be in control, letting Jesus have the wheel, you know, and all such things. So this is the New Jeff translation. Okay? This is not the Word of God. This is me being silly and kind of just trying to reword this. Okay, you ready? I am the professional driver, and my Father is the car designer. Anyone who doesn't use the car the way it's made to be used loses their license. And I send them back to driver's ed so they can do all that's possible with the car he's given them. You have already read the driver's manual and you have heard the rules of the road. Let me do the driving and watch everything closely because I want to show you all that is possible in this car. If you let me drive, you will learn so much more because you will be learning from the best and will be so much more prepared. But if you don't pay attention and you keep trying to grab the wheel and say you already know what to do, you get kicked out of the car. But if you are truly committed to letting me drive, I will take you wherever you want to go. When you learn from me and have the driving instincts that I have, you'll stick out, and people will give my Father the credit for your skills. Part of what I was anticipating when I went for my little joyride out in the field was this anticipation of freedom. Okay, how many of you in here, you drive? How many of you don't drive yet? Okay. Now, there was this desire of going like, man, when I can drive, I'll be able to go anywhere I want. I'll be able to do anything that I want. I'll just have so much freedom. And what I discovered immediately when I got my license was there are a whole lot of limits. There was a whole lot of, don't do this. Be careful when you do this. You're never allowed to do this. You can't go here. You can't drive there. You have to. What are some of the limits you have driving? Speed. What else? Stop signs. Curfew. Cell phones. What? Drinking. Don't leave your car unlocked. There's all kinds of. Now, we can look at those things and we can just be like, I don't want to listen to those things. I don't want to have to like put up with the limits because I think to not have limits would be way more fun. What would happen if there were no driving limits? We'd all be dead. Right. Because as much as you think you may be in control, somebody's not going to be in control. And so there is this idea of freedom coming from limits. There was freedom for everybody else on the road, the freedom to live by not letting 14, 15-year-old Jeff drive. Right? There were all kinds of freedoms given to other people by putting a limit on me. By not letting me drive as fast as I want to drive, provides all kind of freedom for Matt to continue living. Right? For me to have to acknowledge that when I'm going to change lanes, I need to use a blinker, okay, means that Peter gets to continue breathing because I don't drive him off into a tree, right? So all of these limits, we don't like, I just want to be able to check, here I come. Man, the life that comes from not letting me do whatever I want to do, man, it's huge. But we don't always like it, right? I am the true grapevine and my Father is the gardener. What do you believe about God when it comes to the control of your life? See, when I got my license, when I got my permit, I would go driving with my dad, and my dad would be like, all right, start stopping here. All right, start signaling. Okay, start, making your turn. And there were two words that my dad got absolutely sick of hearing me say. I know. Right? Because my dad would be like, all right, go ahead and start stopping. I know, Dad. Right? Jeff, I told you to stop. I know. Right? All right, start signaling. I know. And what it revealed was this thing of going, all right, I'm in control and I am not really open to receiving anything that may help me survive, may help me be a better driver because I know. And when I think about all the things that God would call us to, and if we believe that it's for life, in what ways in your life, in what ways in my life am I constantly going, I know, God. I know. When really what I'm saying to him is, I know that's what you think. I know that's what you want me to do, but I might have other plans. I might know better. Dad, why don't you just let me decide when to stop? Right? Because we don't want the limits. We want to be able to make the decisions for our own lives. And you guys, as high schoolers, you are in this incredible time where you're not junior high. See, the junior hires are stuck. They're in this place where they think they're sophisticated, and they think they know what's up, and they really want to have freedom, but nobody will give them freedom. Do you remember being in junior high? Right? Where you feel so ready. I'm ready to have a girlfriend. I'm ready to drive a car. I'm ready to walk all the way down to 7-Eleven at midnight because I want a Slurpee. You know, all these things where you feel so ready, and everybody's like, nope, 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 oh, nope, right? And it's maddening. And that's why this idea, I was telling them, it starts now in junior high, deciding who are you going to allow to drive your life and what wisdom are you willing to accept. You guys, in your life, do you believe that God is truly the source of life? Do you believe that God desires life for you and that any limits he puts on you is so you'll have real life? Do you believe that? If you don't believe that, you're going to run into some things where you're just going to live your life based on whatever you think. And Jesus continues. He says, he cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit to produce even more. See, your heart will be revealed through your actions. So you can say you love Jesus, you can say you're a Christian, you can come to church and do all of these things, but who's driving your life is going to be revealed through your actions. What's going on in your heart is going to be revealed through your actions. And the number of times that my dad told me to do something, he told me, all right, start stopping now. And I said, I know. Oh, sorry. Because I didn't want to hear it. And my actions demonstrated really where my heart was at. My heart was in a place of going, I don't want you talking to me. I don't want you thinking you know everything through all your experience. And we do the same thing to God. Yeah, God, I know you said don't date that guy, but you know what? I think I can make it work. Yeah, God, I know you say don't lie to my parents, because, I shouldn't lie and I need to respect them, but you don't know what jerks my parents are or how unreasonable they're being. Yeah, God, I know I'm supposed to obey. I shouldn't sneak out. I shouldn't steal stuff. But, I don't think you realize, I'm never going to be able to get this stuff or I'm never going to be allowed to go. So I'm just going to take this under my own control and I'm going to do this. Your heart is going to be revealed by your actions. So I'm just going to throw this out to you as I have to wrestle with this in my own life. What do your actions reveal? Because Jesus said, are you bearing fruit? What kind of fruit are you bearing? Now, other places, the fruit that Jesus is talking about, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, is this the stuff that's coming out of your life? Or are you riddled with fear that you're going to get caught? Are you constantly trying to get away with stuff? Are you always anxious about having to lie again? Is that the fruit that's coming out of your life? And the reality of it is your heart will be revealed through your actions. So we can call ourselves Christians, we can say we love Jesus, we can say we trust God, we got all these things. Is that what's being revealed? Jesus said, you've already been pruned and purified by the message I've given you. This message of Jesus. Hey, love people. What's the fruit of your love for people? You love the people that are easy to love? The message of Jesus where he says, you can't serve two masters. If you're going to let money be the most important thing, then that's what you're going to serve. But our obedience to what God calls you to, our obedience reveals who's driving. So just again, in your life, and I'm not going to like ask you to raise your hand, oh, who struggles with this? Hopefully you had some great conversation in your detour groups. But our obedience demonstrates who's driving. So if you read the Bible and you're like, oh yeah, well, I can give you a list of people that I don't love. I could make a list of the ways that I've disobeyed my parents this week. I have books full of, things that I have against people, and I'm just always complaining, and I'm griping about things, and I'm unhappy, and I'm gossiping about people, and all these things. It's going to reveal who's driving. Coming to church doesn't reveal who's driving. Who is driving your life? And I want you to wrestle with this as we wrap up. Are you willing to obey even when the limits don't make sense? Sometimes we're not. Sometimes we get so convinced. That's dumb that I can't sleep with my girlfriend. We're in love. That's dumb that I can't drive past 11. So forget that. I'm not going to get caught. That's dumb that I can't send these pictures to this person. That's dumb that I can't tell this person what an idiot they are. That's dumb. Just whatever it is, where we don't understand the limit, we don't get why that limit is there, and so we disregard it. I remember when I got my first ticket. It was on San Bernardino Road over in Rancho, just above Foothill. And I got pulled over for doing 53 and a 35. Now here's why this was stupid. Because on my right was a block wall. On the other side of the street were some houses, but not that many houses, and there was no one around. This was stupid. And that cop was sitting there, and I'm doing 53, 35, 45, 50. I'm doing like, what is that, 18 over? Who cares? That was dumb. And so as the cop was like approaching my window, I'm just like, this is lame. And so I roll down my window. He comes up and he goes, do you know why I pulled you over? I'm like, was I going too fast? He said, I got you doing 53 and a 35. He must have seen that I thought he was stupid, like on my face, because he goes, I know you don't think that's probably a very big deal. This block wall, you'll notice there's like openings in the wall. On the other side of that wall are cul-de-sacs. And there are kids who live on those cul-de-sacs. And last week we had a 6-year-old run down to the end of the street, run through that opening and out onto this road, and he got hit and killed. And he said, I got to be on that call. And all of a sudden, everything that I thought was so stupid, I kind of went, oh. I didn't realize why the limit had been there. I didn't realize why it was important that I actually acknowledge the limit. Because in my mind, it was just a limit to take my fun away. In my mind, it was just to keep me from getting to where I needed to go as fast as I needed to be there. In your life, the limits that are put on you, whether it's by people, especially as it's put on by God, are you willing to acknowledge, you know what, there may be things I can't see. There may be reasons that God tells me not to sleep with my boyfriend. No matter how in love we think we are, no matter how sophisticated and grown up I think I am, there may be a reason that's not just to take my fun away. There may be a reason that God would tell me, hey, don't tease that kid at lunch. Don't talk about her. Don't make fun of her hair. Because she comes from a family where every day her dad calls her a slut. And then she comes to school and she gets it from you too. Love people. But there are so many ways that we go, no, 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 can I drive? Thanks, God, I know you have some ideas about what I should and shouldn't do, but how about you let me handle this one? How are you viewing the limits that are put on your life? Do you view them as robbing you from life or giving you the opportunity to have life? Man, so often I look at limits as just, man, God just doesn't want me to have fun. God doesn't think I can handle it. Well, I'll show him. Are you willing to believe and trust his plan and even his limits? Are you willing to let him drive because he goes, you know what? I'm going to be able to drive you places you never could get yourself. I'm able to do things with this car called your life that you will never be able to experience without me. And you guys, it's tough because we feel so in control. Leaving Cruising USA, I felt so ready. I wasn't trying to screw up my life. I didn't want to put myself in a position where I could hurt somebody or wreck my friend's truck or whatever. But man, how easy it is for us to convince ourselves, I got this. God, just let me drive. I can handle this. I don't need you. And when he tries to tell us things, maybe it's through our parents, maybe it's at youth group, wherever it may be, and we go, I know, shut up, I know, I get it. And we end up missing out on the life that God has for us. Huge life. And we trade that life in for the stuff that we think we're ready for, and we settle for whatever it is we're able to accomplish when God has so much more. So God, right now, I want to lift up every person here. God, we are all in a different place of making decisions and the things that we're exposed to and the stuff that we want to do. And God, I pray that you would speak to each one of our hearts, especially when it comes to the limits, especially when it comes to the stuff that you call us to, or that you call us away from, or that you say not now. And God, I pray that you would just remind us of the life that you have for us. Help us to be able to surrender the demand that we have that you explain yourself all the time. And that we have to, that if we're expected to obey, well then you have to give us a good enough reason. God, help your love for us to be a good enough reason. That we would walk in faith with you, and that we would be willing to surrender the wheel to allow you to drive our life and to lead us to life. So God, come and do that work in us. And you guys, I just want to encourage you as you walk through this. This is not easy. This stage of life that you're in is not, don't worry, it's not that hard. Man, some of it's hard. And temptations are everywhere, and you've got a culture screaming at you saying, do what feels good, do what you think is right, try your best. And you need people in your life. Some of them can be peers. Some of them need to be older people who will walk with you in faith in Jesus and give you godly counsel. Let people do that. If you're tempted in areas that you know you keep giving into and you let people hold you accountable. Let people love you. Let people encourage you toward life. Because man, taking the wheel feels so natural, and it feels like what we're supposed to do, but it will never drive you to the life that God has for you. Okay? So just do that. Cool. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your week.